Donald Trump coming out swinging against his fellow Republican candidates. He had a lot to say about a few of them, including this one about Carly Fiorina. Listen to this.
He was very low-key. He was very low-key. I don't know. I say low-key. I'm screaming at Kasich. Right? I'm telling Carly, whatever the hell her name is, Fiorina, I'm saying, will you stop cutting in? No, everybody that talks, she cuts in, cuts in.
And that woman that actually has a last name, Carly Fiorina, joins me now live from Omaha, Nebraska. Great to have you back on The Real Story. How do you respond? How do you want to respond to Donald Trump?
Well, you know, as I recall that debate, there were a lot of people cutting in, a lot of guys cutting in, but somehow when I did it, it bothered Donald Trump. So I think that says everything about Donald Trump and not a whole lot about me.
Okay. You are correct on that. John Kasich, others also interrupted throughout the night. You went to Facebook last night to send a message to Donald Trump. Paraphrase that for us.
Well, basically what I said was, Donald, sorry, I have to interrupt again while you're out there calling Ben Carson pathological. I mean, Donald Trump is either suggesting that Ben Carson is lying about his story, or that, and Ben Carson has an undeniably inspirational life story of redemption and hard work, or he's accusing Ben Carson of being pathological in some way. I just pointed out to Donald Trump that he said a few things that are not true as well, including that he was in a green room with Putin. He wasn't. Or he went to Wharton. He didn't. Or that he's self-funding his campaign. He's not.
And you also said that anyone can turn a multi-million-dollar inheritance into more money, but all the money in the world won't make you as smart as Ben Carson.
Well, Ben Carson's a really smart guy. He started out a poor black kid in Detroit and went on to become the head of pediatric neurosurgery in Johns Hopkins. That is an inspirational life story that speaks to his intelligence, first and foremost, but it also speaks to hard work and, he would say, the power of redemption.
Okay, so speaking of Ben Carson, he claimed during the last debate that the Chinese are on the ground in Syria. He says he has a secret source and says he will make the evidence public. Listen to this.
We actually will be releasing some material on that before the weekend is over.
That material, where did you get that material from? Did you give us any details about that?
I have several sources that I've gotten material from. I'm surprised that my sources are better than theirs.
So the White House even weighing in on this now, Carly. Press Secretary Josh Earnest expressing some disbelief during the daily briefing today.
Are you aware that Ben Carson said earlier today that he's going to be releasing evidence that he has of China's military involvement in Syria, and that he's going to share that with the White House before the weekend is over?
Someone did tell me that he said that earlier today. I guess it's...
All right. So where do you fall on this, Ms. Fiorina? Is China in Syria?
Well, I am not aware of any Chinese involvement in Syria, and I must say, while I admire Ben Carson greatly, I disagree with him profoundly on much of what he said with regard to our foreign policy. So certainly if there is evidence, I'm eager to see it, but I am not aware of China's involvement in Syria. I do think Syria has become an extremely dangerous environment, with Russia's very aggressive involvement at the request of Iran. The Iranian-Russian-Syrian alliance is a very big problem for the United States of America, which is why I would be working with our allies in the Middle East to try and push back against ISIS. They know that they must defeat ISIS, but they need to see leadership and support and resolve from the United States of America. And unfortunately, under President Obama and Hillary Clinton, they have seen none of that.
Okay, so it's interesting because this year, I know we've heard it a million times, we're talking about the outsider candidates, you, Trump, and Carson, okay? But it seems like many people believe that you are the most well-prepared on a lot of these issues, specifically foreign policy. So do you think that these comments by the other candidates actually end up hurting them eventually in the polls, or is everything just set now?
No, I don't think anything's set now. In fact, if you looked at national polls at a similar time in previous presidential races, what you would find is that everyone who was leading at this time in the polls lost. So national polls at this point are not predictive. In fact, if you look back at Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan, Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, they were all going to lose, according to the national polls. I think voters can distinguish one candidate against another. And in the end, I think voters want someone who's qualified and prepared.
Okay, somebody else who wants to win, Hillary Clinton, facing some criticism for recently not standing up to a man at a town hall event who said he wanted to strangle you every time he heard you talk. Listen to this.
And then she laid off over 40,000 people. And she says she's a great CEO. Every time I see her on TV, I want to reach through and strangle her.
Well, some of that criticism against Clinton is coming now from The View co-host Joy Behar. Listen to her response.
Let's be fair. If somebody had said that to Donald Trump and he had left, we'd be ripping him a new one.
He should have said that
any of those people, and she did not.
She did not.
She should have stood up to him. I'm sorry, I have to say that.
All right. So is Joy Behar now on your friend?
Well, look, I hope I had some influence. I was on The View last Friday and I made the statement, ladies, there is a double standard in terms of how liberal women and conservative women are treated. They challenged me on that, but I think clearly there is a double standard, and I'm glad that Joy Behar sees that double standard in this case and stood up and said something about it. Good for her.
All right. Great to have you back on The Real Story. Carly Fiorina, running for president.
Thanks, Gretchen.
We'll see you again soon.